Hey, welcome into Stinkin Truth Podcast alongside my partner, Mike Evans, with a nice shirt on. I am Mark Schlereth without a nice shirt on, and always good to be with you. So much going on this first week of free agency, Mike. First and foremost, man, how are you, buddy?
I'm great. Finally, the Aaron Rodgers saga appears like we're going to get a conclusion. What do you make of all of it? Him coming out and saying, I want to play for the Jets. Mm-hmm. It's not about me and where I want to go as much as it is about the Packers and Jets working out compensation. Why is it different this year than it was a year ago when there was still speculation about Rodgers going somewhere else, but ultimately staying in Green Bay? What's different this time?
What's different this time is they actually believe that Jordan Love can take them kind of like Aaron Rodgers took them after Brett Favre. Like, they feel confident that Jordan Love is ready to be their quarterback. And I think I think that's ultimately the biggest thing of where they are right now and why they weren't willing to pull the trigger 2 years ago, why they weren't willing to pull the trigger last year. Because let's face it, Mike, there's only one explanation for Nathaniel Hackett being the head coach here last year. And that's because they were in conversations with Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers, and they got cold feet once again. They didn't think Jordan Love was ready. And it's interesting because I had that long conversation with Aaron Rodgers about Jordan Love, and Aaron is very forthright. I love talking to Aaron. Very forthright. He's in charge, so there's never any concern like what's going on, right? He is in charge. He knows what's going on. And he said it was really the first time that Jordan Love embraced being the backup quarterback, and I'm paraphrasing, it's not exactly what he said, but embrace being the quarterback and really taking on that personality, that role of trying to go out there and not only give the defensive look, but not only running those cards, but trying to eviscerate that defense and working on his game when he had that opportunity. And I think what happens is there comes a point, and I think this is what happened over the course of 2 years. They talked about moving Aaron Rodgers, and they were so nervous about where Jordan Love was in his game that they weren't ready to. And I talked about this on draft night, and I got a ton of crap from Packer fans, up yours, Packer fan, because I was right. So they were working on a deal even though they said they didn't talk, and that's baloney. Like, they lie about that crap all the time. Just like George Payton, the general manager of the Denver Broncos, last year when they got Russell Wilson, said this was our plan all along. That's why we signed Hackett, so we could bring Aaron Rodgers here. That's garbage. Like, that's just a lie. But I expect that from general managers. They're supposed to lie. That's their job. And so they weren't ready to pull the trigger a couple of years ago on draft night, even though they had those conversations. Then they weren't willing to do it last year, even though the Broncos went out and got Nathaniel Hackett so they could lure Aaron Rodgers here to Colorado. And now they're finally ready. Now they believe that Jordan Love is ready to be that guy to take them into the future, and they're ready to part ways with Aaron Rodgers.
Who is Nathaniel Hackett? What is the magic of Nathaniel Hackett that the Broncos went out and hired him as their head coach without any commitment whatsoever that they were going to get Aaron Rodgers, but with the hope that Hackett's presence here would entice Rodgers to force his way out of Green Bay to come here. And then Rodgers himself comes out and says, hey, one of the reasons why I'm drawn to the Jets is because one of the coaches on the staff there, Nathaniel Hackett. What's this guy's secret?
Yeah. Well, Aaron has said that he's like one of the favorite coaches he's ever played for. Loves him. And I tell you, Nathaniel Hackett's a good dude, man. I love Nathaniel Hackett. I really do. Now, you know, he reached his Peter principle, right? He rose to the level of his competence when it came to being a head coach. He just wasn't ready to take all that stuff on. And he made some classic mistakes. You know, you get together and you go through the grind of being an offensive, quality control guy. Then you become a positional coach, and then you become a coordinator, and you do all those things, and you go through it with a bunch of guys where, you guys are spending 18 hours a day doing all the grunt labor, and you say, hey, man, if I ever get there, I'm committed to you, and you're going to be my guy. And so he went out and he hired a bunch of young coaches. And I think this is something that happens within organizations. I think it happens from owners and also other coaches. You think that young equates to ability to communicate and connect. That's a bunch of garbage. You're either a communicator or you're not. Being young has nothing to do with that. Being able to send a couple of emojis means nothing if you can't truly communicate. And I'll tell you one thing that players want, one thing they demand. Can you make me better? That's all I want to know. Listen, man, I love honesty. If I suck, tell me I suck. I'm okay with that, right? I'll take that responsibility as a player. But if you can't make me better, I don't need you to coach me. I don't want you to coach me. You can give me all the bells and whistles, and you can put movie clips in the, you could do all that. Oh, he puts movie clips, and they're funny in the, I don't care. Can you make me better? And ultimately, I think there's a connection because obviously Rodgers is phenomenal. And he connected with Nathaniel Hackett because Hackett's funny, man, and he's a great dude, and he's all that stuff. And listen, make no bones about it. He understands, he knows offensive football. There is no question. But he ended up bringing in coaches that were all in their 40s. Like, he didn't bring in experienced coaches. Every guy, defensive coordinator, first-time defensive coordinator, offensive coordinator, first-time offensive coordinator, never called plays before. All these guys, O-line coach, first-time O-line coach, always been an assistant. Every guy was a first-timer at his position. And so you didn't bring in – one of the things that Sean McVay told me, when Sean McVay became the head coach of the Rams, and Sean McVay, I think he was 32 at the time, one of the most dynamic personalities I've ever been around. There's two types of people. People who walk into the room and energize it, and people who walk out of the room and energize it. Make sure you know who you are, right? You don't want to be the guy that walks out of the room and everybody goes, thank God that turd's gone. McVay walks in and energizes the room. But he told me my number one hire, when I became the head coach of the Rams, Wade Phillips. That dude's forgotten more about football than I know. That dude has gravitas. That guy has been around. That guy understands this game. And all the things that I don't know about being a head coach, he can help me navigate. Meanwhile, Nathaniel Hackett got all his buddies, all the young guys, all the first-time guys, and didn't have anybody who had balls. Because sometimes you need a dude that's a dick. You need a dude that's an enforcer and a dick. Man, I had offensive line coaches over the course of my career. I have been sitting in a meeting where Alex Gibbs, God rest his soul, walked out of the meeting and started screaming in the hallway at Mike Shanahan. Fuck you. We ain't doing that. Fuck you. I ain't doing that. I'm not going to have my guys do that. Fuck off. To the head coach in the hallway, and we're all sitting in the room like, oh my God, pardon my French, but we're all sitting there, oh, there's going to be a fight. There's going to be a fight. Like, I'm dead serious. Yeah. I am dead serious. Like, you have got to have guys on your staff that are the bad cops.
Yep.
And he didn't do that. But I'm telling you, he's a great coach. And I think that's one of the reasons he's a great coach from the standpoint of connectivity, relationship. Like, there's some guys that are never good head coaches because they have to have that part. Like, they're the connective guy. And they don't have that dick in them.
So we got two new producers, engineers on this podcast today, Johnny and Austin, and I think they're both wondering, what the heck did I just walk into?
Sorry about that. I didn't mean to.
What did I walk into?
It just was better. Like, that's how.
I was not expecting that.
That's how it went.
I wasn't expecting that.
I wasn't either, but that's how it went down. I thought authenticity was important.
It's very important to be authentic.
Yeah.
All right, be real on this one. What should the Jets fans' expectations be with Aaron Rodgers?
Playoffs.
So are they now are they the second best team in the AFC East? Could they challenge the Bills? Just what is the upside with Aaron Rodgers and the Jets here?
I think they challenge the Bills for the division. I don't think they win the division, but they'll challenge the Bills for the division. And that's a young, dynamic, great defense. Love their head coach. Robert Saleh, man, is salt of the earth. These guys play hard for him. He is a no-nonsense guy. I
So you put them ahead of the Dolphins right now?
yeah, oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think defensively they are outstanding. I think they've got some young offensive weapons. They'll get Hall back at the running back position. They've got some young wide receivers who can really play. They've got Lazard now. They'll get a couple of the AARP guys, like Mercedes Lewis and a couple other old dudes, Randall Cobb. Because old people love to sit down and talk to old people. Like, I know that because I'm old, right? So Aaron Rodgers is like, I'm going to go into a locker room with a bunch of kids. I need a couple of old codgers where we can talk about, we can get, scream at clouds with our black socks on, right? I remember, and get in there.
So, it's amazing. I mean, think about having this conversation right now, listening to this conversation. Who did I leave out in all that? Who was not mentioned in all that? Bills, Jets, Dolphins, the Patriots.
Oh, my.
Right?
Right.
I had to remind you.
Yeah.
They've become, again, how the mighty have fallen. They are now at the point where they're the worst team in the AFC East. They're going to be a last place team.
Gosh. That is when you think about that for their 20-year reign of terror.
Yes. The evil empire.
The evil empire.
Mm-hmm.
Darth Vader.
Mm-hmm.
All of a sudden slain by Josh Allen, playing the role of Luke Skywalker. Right?
But seriously, now with Aaron Rodgers going to the Jets, the Patriots are a distant fourth in that division, aren't they?
They are.
And their big signing was Juju Smith-Schuster.
Yeah, I mean,
whoop-de-doo, Basil.
What did Juju Smith-Schuster do other than get a phantom holding call in the Super Bowl that essentially won it? Won it. Good for him.
That'll be his chief legacy.
Yeah, chief legacy. Won the Super Bowl on a phantom call. You think about the quarterback. We always kind of divvy up the quarterbacks in that division. I mean, obviously Aaron Rodgers, Josh Allen, Tua. Squishy Mac is dead last in that.
Big year for Mac Jones. Big year for Mac Jones. Big year for Bill Belichick.
Like I said, Mac Jones did a great job as a rookie under Josh McDaniels. He really did. And then Bill Belichick had this genius football idea that we don't really need an offensive coordinator. We'll get a defensive coordinator and a special teams coach to become our offensive co-coordinators. How'd that work out? You want to talk about, that's one of those, for a dumb guy or for a smart guy, you sure are dumb. That was a horrific decision. Because as a rookie, Mac Jones actually played really well. They went to the playoffs.
They went to the playoffs.
Yeah. So anyhow, get back on track with a real live offensive coordinator. We'll see exactly what happens. But yeah, you're right. They're the fourth team in the division, the New England Patriots. It's incredible.
That's just in the span of just a less than 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about them going from being where they were to where they are.
Yeah.
Probably forecasted to be.
4 years, right? Brady just played 3 years
Yeah.
in Tampa. This is the fourth year now.
Yeah. Speaking of Tampa, they signed Baker Mayfield.
Right. Oh, they're feeling dangerous.
Talk about how the mighty have fallen. You've got Baker Mayfield, former number 1 overall pick. Sam Darnold, former number 3 overall pick. He's going for football rehab with Kyle Shanahan in San Francisco. If you had to bet which one of them is the most successful after they go through football rehab, who has the better career long term? Baker,
wow,
or Sam Darnold?
Wow. That's a great question, because I think the football rehab that Sam Darnold's going to get in San Francisco with Kyle Shanahan, with Brian Griese, with some of the people they have, with that running game, and seeing how it all kind of melds together, I think that's invaluable for him. The other thing is, from a pressure standpoint, I don't think he's going to be asked to win games. Mm-hmm. And I don't even know if he'll be asked to play, because they really like Brock Purdy. And I leave the guy, 3rd overall pick, Trey Lance, who they gave all that draft capital up for, I leave him out.
You don't include him in the conversation? Because if Brock Purdy, let's say Brock Purdy's not ready to start the season,
mm-hmm.
Who would you bet is the starter, Trey Lance or Sam Darnold?
The point being, I don't know who will be the starter, probably Trey Lance, but the point is there'll be a competition there.
Right.
Which tells you exactly what they think of Trey Lance. Like, I wouldn't be surprised at all if they look to move him during the draft.
Try to recoup some of those draft capital?
Wouldn't shock me at all if they try to get maybe a couple second-rounders for him or whatever it is. Say, here you go. He's healthy now. Because I think they look at Brock Purdy and say they saw the energy with which he played, the foot energy, his ability to understand protection, get through progressions, throw the ball on time, accurately, and never be overwhelmed. The guy was never overwhelmed. I mean, he was right up until the time he tore up his elbow. And, that's such a freak accident because you see that probably happen every game, 2-3 times a game, every game on Sunday. And for that thing to tear whatever it tore. But I think they're really committed to him, and I think that Sam Darnold has a chance. The problem is that Baker Mayfield's going to go into a situation and be expected to.
But at least he can play. He should be able to play right away.
Yeah, and he'll have some talent now.
Right?
He'll have some talent around him. They got to fix their O-line, right? They got to fix the issues that they had up front. New offensive coordinator, Todd Monken's coming in there as opposed to Byron Leftwich, who's been ousted. They should theoretically have a really good defense because Todd Bowles is a defensive guy. But again, you're expected. Now it's the NFC South, so obviously Derek Carr goes to New Orleans, and Carolina. We don't know what they're going to do there. They signed a guy that I really like in Andy Dalton, but he's a bridge quarterback. Like, he's going to be the bridge for whoever they decide to draft, whoever that happens to be. So we kind of know that's what's going to go on there. Division-wise, let's face it. I mean, Atlanta, do you believe in Desmond Ridder? Is that your guy? So who'd they sign to back him up? Oh, they went out and got Hinkleberry. Well, not Hinkleberry.
Let's see if you can figure it out, folks.
Oh, yeah.
You like
Heineke.
Yes.
Heineke. I do like it. I
Yeah,
do
you
like
him a lot.
Hinkleberry. I love Hinkleberry.
Where'd you come up with Hinkleberry?
It was kind of like
what a beautiful mind.
It was kind of like Pet Detective. Who was a pet? It was the kicker guy, It was like he had the standing yina, went with the fruit basket in the backside. Who was that guy? Who was that guy?
Yeah.
Hinkle? Crinkle? Chris Crinkle?
Well, keep talking.
Okay. You're gonna. Yeah. I can't really get. How can I not remember that?
I'll figure it out for you.
Okay.
You keep talking football.
But anyhow, they went out and got Heineke, who's a guy that's. I think he's a good athlete. He's a competitor. He's hard-nosed, tough kid. I really like him. He's just not necessarily anybody's starting quarterback, right? I mean, I think but I don't know that Desmond Ridder is either. So, you look at Carolina, Andy Dalton can definitely be that bridge.
Ray Finkel.
Yes. Ray Finkel. It was Finkel. Yeah, so anyhow, it's just an interesting bridge. It's kind of like what's going on with the Commanders right now in Washington, right? They went out and got Jacoby Brissett as that bridge guy. I know I did a bunch of Washington games last year and watched Sam Howell practice. He was a 5th rounder last year, but they loved him. They loved the way he practiced. They loved the way he commanded the scout team. They loved the arm talent and some of the throws he made. But again, he's one of those guys, if you loved him that much, he wouldn't have been around in the 5th round, right? So there's got to be something that deterred anybody from taking him, but they really like him and like his potential, but you still have to protect yourself.
Well, yeah, but you understand the difference between quarterbacks that go in the 1st round and those that go rounds 2, 3, 4, 5. It's the idea that you take one of these quarterbacks in the 1st round, they're ready to go, and you just put them in, plug them in, and play them, which I've always thought is kind of silly because every quarterback needs to be developed.
Right.
Even a first overall quarterback, Trevor Lawrence, needs to be developed.
Right.
I've always thought that teams should look at guys like a Sam Howell and say, okay, yeah, there's a reason why he's not going in the first round, but that doesn't mean we don't see something that we think that we can develop and can end up being a pretty good quarterback. Jalen Hurts has become kind of the poster child for that. But isn't there a difference, though, with Washington? It seems like it's Howell's job to lose. Brissett's just your classic backup, whereas Dalton would be that classic bridge where we're going to draft somebody, a CJ Young or somebody like that, CJ Stroud or Bryce Young. And that quarterback is going to be the guy. But a guy like Dalton could be the bridge guy for the first, 6. Which, by the way, I don't know about you, but I never really bought that anyway. Why are you delaying the inevitable, right? If this guy is the guy,
right? All of a sudden, after 6 weeks, now he's going to get it.
Just throw him in there.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I think that it'll be interesting too with Washington because you think about how they've constructed their football team under Ron Rivera. Dude, their D line is stout. I mean, you got Young, first rounder. You got Jonathan Allen, first rounder. Deron Payne, first rounder, just became the highest defensive tackle, highest paid defensive tackle in football. Montez Sweat, first rounder. Like, their D line is great. And now you're playing that development game at the quarterback position. You know what ends up happening to teams that have a position of strength? They neglect that position of strength eventually to try to chase a position of weakness. So now we're trying to develop the quarterback. So, okay, you go in with Sam Howell. And then you say, okay, but let's get Jacoby Brissett just to protect ourselves, okay? And then at number 16, we got the 16th overall pick. Do we move up? Do we go after a Will Levis? Do we go after one of these one of these draftable quarterbacks? Do we go in that direction? And what ends up happening is you spend 3 years trying to develop a guy, and then you finally figure out who that guy is, and your position of strength, which was your D-line, gets old. Free agency happens. Injuries happen. The next thing you know, now you still haven't developed the quarterback, and now your position of strength, you've missed that opportunity, that window to win because of that part of your football team has now all of a sudden become, you've neglected it because it was so strong that all of a sudden you become average.
Couple big player departures, big names on the move, not of their own choice. Zeke Elliott cut loose in Dallas.
Why would you ever spend money, long-term money, on a running back? I understand there's always going to be the outlier, the exception to the rule. There's always going to be the Derrick Henry. They're so just few and far between. Why would you ever invest in that position? Seriously. Look at what Kansas City did. Oh, yeah, didn't they take Edwards-Helaire in the first round a couple years ago?
Late first, yeah.
Just to be usurped because of injury by Isaiah Pacheco, who was better as a seventh rounder. Mm-hmm. Like you look at like Alvin Kamara's a third rounder. I mean, you go through it. Was Bryce Hall over the Jets, even though he tore his knee up, he was cruising. Wasn't he a second rounder? Like, why would you ever spend long-term money at that position?
Now, moving forward, though, is Zeke now one of those really attractive players out there? If he's now entering a new market for him, where he's not going to get paid crazy money, but he's going to start becoming older, 30, journeyman-type running back, I would think that he'd be a pretty nice pickup for somebody. Got to figure he's going to be motivated, hungry, got a chip on his shoulder. And you could probably get him at a good number.
Limited role, yeah. I mean, certainly. I tell you one of the other things that was...
He didn't look washed up to me last year.
No.
Did he to you?
No. He's not as dynamic as he once was, obviously. But here's the other thing. Here's a guy that could be an incredible role player for you. Not only being that guy off the bench to keep running the ball and all that stuff, but I will tell you, coming out of college, watching Zeke in blitz pickup and catching the ball out of the backfield, like I thought he was one of the best blitz pickup backs that I had watched. I mean, he just eats line of scrimmage. One of the things you have to understand when you're picking up blitzes as a running back, you can't sit back and wait for linebackers to get you. You've got to attack them in the line of scrimmage, and here's why. So make this your offensive line, right? Center, guard, tackle. If you sit back here, you got two-way goes for linebackers. So they can run you over, they can swim you one way, swim you the other way, right? When you get in the line of scrimmage and take them here, one, there's no room because you're protected by both guys. So you want to get in the line of scrimmage, take that guy on, and then you could square him up and hit him in the head. And if he tries to jump over you, he's going to run into bodies. It's how you have to approach it. You have to be the aggressor. You've got to take the passive out of that, and you've got to go up and get in that line of scrimmage and do that. And so Zeke was phenomenal at that in school at Ohio State. And he can catch the ball out of the backfield. Like, he could be a guy that would come in and all of a sudden transition from your workhorse, your bell cow guy, to your third down nickel guy. Mm-hmm. I think he could do it well. Like, so I do think there's some value there for Zeke Elliott.
And finally, Darren Waller traded by the Raiders. Now, there's some out there is like, this is just Josh McDaniels being Josh McDaniels. This is what he did in Denver. He got there. He started trading off their best players like Jay Cutler and Tony Scheffler and guys like that. Is this a case, again, of McDaniels running off a really good player for no reason?
Yeah, obviously Derek Carr's gone. Like, I think Josh wants some of Josh's players. Like, Josh wants that. Like, you remember Bill Parcells used to come into an organization, like he'd come into the Jets or he'd come into from the Giants or the Jets, and then he'd go to he went to New England and then he went to Dallas, whatever. He always had a couple of guys that he'd bring with him, like the Peppers of the world, right? Mm-hmm. So big linebacker guys that the Yassi Peppers, guys that played for him, that knew what he was about. And they could essentially be the buffers to the team. Like, they could take the heat. He could give them the grief, so he could give everybody the grief. They could take it, and they basically helped assimilate his program. And I think Josh very much has learned that over the course of time through Bill Belichick, and he wants a couple of his guys that understand his system, understand his coaching style, understand what he's about. But he also, as we know here, we affectionately call him Hurricane Josh. He comes in and he destroys. Some of the guys that are already there, they just can't handle that style.
But in the case of Waller, though, is maybe part of it. Give Josh the benefit of the doubt here, because Waller the last 2 years has only played in like 20 of 34 games, mm-hmm. Averaged about 40 catches for about 600 yards, a couple touchdowns. The 2 years prior to that, he was up around 100 catches, 1,200 yards, 5-6 touchdowns each season.
Right.
And then there's been a big drop-off. So is this a case where...
By the way, there was a lot of speculation. Remember when Derek Carr got on the podium and made his emotional plea about, what we got to do just to sleep at night, and I wish everybody felt that way in that locker room, right?
What does he mean when he says, I wish everybody felt this way?
Right.
Waller missed a lot of time with a hamstring.
Right.
Come on, Raider fan, there was a lot of speculation.
There's tons of speculation. And, and Derek, I asked him about Derek. Oh, no, I wasn't talking about anybody on our – but certainly that was the speculation. And so is that a guy that became a 100% guy? I'm not going to play unless I'm 100%. I don't know the answer to that, but certainly would seem based upon, although you did get rid of Derek Carr too. You moved him out too. So, I don't know. I did tell you my theory though, didn't I?
What's that?
About why the Indianapolis thing blew up.
Oh, with Josh?
Yeah, with Josh.
Yeah, for those who don't remember, Josh was all of a sudden expected to take the Colts job until he suddenly backed out.
Right, and then there was a report about Josh McDaniels' wife said that Irsay makes paid. Like, Irsay was at their house or something, and he spent like an hour in the bathroom.
Right.
And then she got uncomfortable and said, no, you can't you can't take that job. Something like that
Yes,
was kind of
exactly.
that
So
was kind of the story.
What's your theory about?
Oh, I know exactly what happened. I mean, I don't know. I don't have like factual proof, but I have like horse sense knowledge of what goes on.
Okay, I'm intrigued. What do you think happened?
There's no question in my mind that Jim Irsay plugged the toilet. He went in there. He had the mud gut.
Oh, jeez.
He goes in the guest bathroom at their house. Says, "I need to use the bathroom."
Right.
Mud gut takes over.
Uh-huh.
You can't clean mud gut up, right? Like no matter how much toilet paper you use, there's always a little residue at the end. So you are spending a lot of time.
I think I know where this is going.
Plug the toilet. I blame the McDaniels because this is a classic case of you better put a plunger in the guest room. Boom. Done. You got to. So I told you, like,
We've all been there.
right. So he's flushing it and the water's raising. He's going, no. And it's right to the edge. It's almost going to, and then it goes slowly. After about 10 minutes, it gets all the way back down. And you're like, whoosh, no. Like that's
You are willing.
right.
Trying to will the water to not come over the top.
Right. And so you're in there forever, but before it finally chokes, mud gut down. And then what ends up happening to you, like this happened to me. I was calling a game in Washington. Calling a game in Washington. And I plugged my toilet in the hotel room. It's hard to do because those are pretty sturdy toilets, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that was impressive work by me. That was one of those Mount Vesuviuses that were out, right?
Point. You're okay.
Right.
You made your point.
Okay. So anyhow, plug the toilet. Now I got to go. We got meetings and everything else. I got to hang the do not disturb thing on my door so the cleaning.
And no plunger in the room.
No, so that the cleaning people don't come in there and see Mount Fudgy hanging out of the water. So anyhow, I keep going in like, I got to go back to. I run back into the room and whoosh, no, right the whole time. Like I did like 4 times. It's not going down.
It's not going down.
So then I thought to myself, well, do I call for a plunger? I don't want to call for a plunger. Like, then it goes through every time you go back to that hotel. Oh, there's a guy plugged the toilet in 14, 16. So anyhow, what I ended up doing is they have, because we stay at nice hotels, right? Fox puts us up. Like they got like a, what you would call a shoehorn, where you put your shoe on, right?
Yeah.
So I take the shoehorn, okay? Got the shoehorn. I put a paper cup on the end of the shoehorn. First off, I put a towel in it and wedge the paper cup into the shoehorn. Now it's in there. Then I take the plastic laundry bag and put it over the shoehorn or over the cup. I've made a plunger. So I get in there, I hit the toilet, all goes down. I'm the MacGyver of plugging a toilet. Like it was unbelievable.
Wow.
It was I was like
you just looked around, looked at what you had available.
Right. Created my own plunger. Created my own plunger.
Dude, I tip my cap to you.
Right. Got Mount Fudgy down the chute. Then I just took the thing and I just put it in the trash. Got the whoop.
You should patent this thing.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah. It's
for people could have it easy to transport themselves and
right.
have one with them just in case wherever they go there's not a plunger.
For you people on a high fiber diet, you're welcome. Hey, that does for us. Like for everybody involved in this.
Jim Irsay's watching this right now going, if only. Yeah.
You should bring me along, Jim Irsay, everywhere you go if you're planning on plugging a toilet. For everybody involved in the Stinkin Truth podcast, I am Mark. He is Mike. We appreciate you guys being with us. Later.